Welcome, Loreseekers. Today's episode 1 of the Lower Levels, a Star Wars podcast. I'm going to be bringing you all types of news, lore coverage, anything that is happening in the Star Wars realm. We're going to talk about it. And celebrations coming up here in a few weeks. We're going to be talking about that. I'm sure we're going to get an Ahsoka teaser trailer, maybe a movie announcement. We're going to break everything down, and we're going to do so together on this long journey that I hope lasts hundreds and hundreds of episodes. If you don't know who I am, I originally started out on Twitch. I played Halo for many years, and then I switched to Star Wars Battlefront, became a Star Wars streamer, and we did pretty good. And then we started a YouTube channel to do lore, and for a while there, we were really starting to figure out who we were as a channel. And then all of a sudden, we're at over 17,000 subscribers. So I appreciate everybody, and we're moving forward. And hopefully one day we'll have that 100K plaque and we'll be considered a top YouTube channel, a Star Wars content creator at that. So what this podcast is going to be, about 20 to 30 minutes long. And I don't know if I'm going to continue to do it pre-recorded or if we're going to go into live form. I'm used to live form. I flow better when it's live. When I'm doing pre-recordings like today, you're going to see it might be a little difficult for me, but we're gonna get through it. So let's start with the Mandalorian. We'll get into the Bad Batch after this. If you want to, just skip ahead to the Bad Batch if you haven't watched the Mandalorian, because there's quite a few spoilers in this. The New Republic's failures. So we're seeing a lot of why the New Republic just really barely exists in the sequel trilogy. The First Order is the galactic power, I feel like, in the sequel trilogy, with the New Republic's light dying out. And then the First Order takes out the New Republic with Starkiller Base, and then they pretty much cease to exist and they become the Resistance, right? So how does the rebellion defeat the Empire, take over the galactic center, and then within 20 to 30 years, they no longer exist? Well, they're making numerous rookie mistakes. First, they're decommissioning all of the Imperial war assets, such as Star Destroyers. Everything that Dr. Pershing was seeing, like, hey, we could use this. This is Imperial stuff. Like, we can use this for the New Republic's advantage. We can send this to planets that need materials and things to use, like all the food on the Star Destroyers, those could be passed out and given to war-torn areas from the Empire, right? And they don't do that. So they're making those mistakes at first. Then they're still using Imperial techniques, which they also used on Dr. Pershing, though they were trying to do it humanely. And then the Imperial spy, Elia Kane, I believe. I'm doing all this with barely any notes, guys, so bear with me. Elia Kane, I believe, she turned it up and it became torture at that point. So there's still a lot of mistakes and growing pains. And then in this particular episode 6, The Pirate, Navarro needs help. Now, they're not a New Republic planet per se, but they're still a New Republic ally, right? They don't entertain Imperials, they don't entertain pirates, they don't entertain any type of local militias or anything. They're New Republic, and they're asking for help, and the Delphi Squadron can't give it to them because the New Republic won't give it a go. So the pilot, I would say he's a leader of the Delphi Squadron, goes to Coruscant, and he's requesting help, and they just refuse to give it to him. It could be politics, right? But at the same time, the Delphi Squadron is there, ready and able to move in. They just need, yes, go help. And they can't even get a simple yes. The New Republic should be able to make decisions fast in real time. That's what the Jedi were for. If Naboo needed help, they would send a Jedi emissary to assess the situation. Yes, Naboo needs help. We're going to intervene. And then at that point, for the scenario, if the Jedi were still around, the New Republic would send a Jedi to Navarro, oh wow, there is a pirate incursion here. Let's send the Adelphi Squadron over. I will assist the Adelphi Squadron. And then boom, problem resolved. Without the Jedi, the New Republic is very crippled as far as information gathering and making real-time decisions. That's a big problem. And as you can see, even the members of Adelphi Squadron, which, spoiler, if you made it this far, I'm sure you've watched the episode, Zeb is even part of the Adelphi Squadron. And he's disappointed in how the New Republic, they haven't returned dispatches in months. So when you have established people from the rebellion who are frustrated with the New Republic, those are early warning signs that, definitely not saying the Empire was bettered, but they were better structured, right? If there was a rebellion going on Navarro and it was an Imperial controlled world, you better believe stormtroopers are going to show up in the next couple of days and they're going to squash that rebellion. And maybe if it's a big enough rebellion, Vader would be right behind them, right? There isn't that anymore. There's no squadrons of New Republic forces coming to save you. There's no Jedi coming to save you. You're kind of on your own. And that's a bad thing. That's not good for any system wanting to become a New Republic planet. And it's not good for a New Republic planet because he even said, well, we have a list of actual New Republic planets that need saving. They don't have the resources. So with this Imperial remnant growing, and we don't know who it is yet, I believe it is Thrawn, because Ahsoka is going to be going against Thrawn, and they need to build up this big bad. And then you have Moff Gideon's escape. Everybody's going to hate on that, how I say escape. Most of my YouTube, I avoid that word now, escape, because I can't say it right. Can't say it properly, apparently. But going off on a tangent, I forgot what I was saying. The New Republic is not going to be able to send those resources, and it's going to mount to their downfall when this new faction rises up, which of course turns into the First Order, as we see in the sequel trilogy. Some other points, I made like some bulletin points here. So the pilot, he goes over and he fails. So then he's like, well, I have a Mandalorian ally that can help. And he's also friends with Navarro. So he goes there and he's asking for help. And the Mandalorians don't want anything to do with it. But Din, who owns the Darksaber, asks for their help. And then the one person I didn't think would agree with him, Paz Vizsla, he agrees because, well, he saved his son. So you've established a really good ally now. The clan Vizsla is well respected. And when they're behind you, you have a good chance to get what you need done. But Paz Vizsla and the Armorer, there's something going on there. Paz is completely 1000% loyal to the Armorer. Every time the Armorer is on screen, and by the way, she's one of my favorite characters, I'm like, this is going to be her villain arc reveal. And every single time I'm sitting there thinking, like, what's she going to do? What's she going to do? And she surprises me each time. Doing hero stuff. She's doing what a hero needs to do. Saving the day, making the right choices, and reestablishing the Mandalorians as what they used to be at old. And now don't forget, we're watching it from the Mandalorians' point of view, but from the galactic point of view, the Mandalorians are evil. People don't realize that. Everyone's like, well, Din's a hero. The Armorer's a hero. Bo-Katan's a hero. If you look at Legends and you look at early Mandalorians, they're evil. They're bred for war. They're a warrior class society that the accolades in battle are the only thing that matter. They were created to resemble Spartan culture. That's why their helmets look like Spartans, right? So when and if they reestablish control of Mandalore and they grow back into a powerful society, they're going to go back to their warrior ways, and they would ultimately, and we're talking hundreds of years in the future, they would ultimately seek to conquer more planets, and then their end goal would be to control the New Republic. So they might be the good guys now, But long term, those good Mandalorians would turn into evil. And unfortunately, they've been used as pawns for, as far as Legends goes back. The Sith used the Mandalorians as pawns for the Mandalorian War. They used them to probe the weaknesses in the Old Republic to figure out how the Sith Empire can invade. But the guy on my shirt, Revan, said, "You know what? We're not going to let this happen. We're gonna enter the war, and we're gonna end and defeat Mandalore himself, all right, and pretty much destroy the Mandalorian people for thousands of years." So the armor reveals at the end of I know we're skipping around here, guys, but the armor reveals she sides with Bo-Katan. Din is chopped liver. He has the Darksaber in his hands, and she's like, "You saw the Mythosaur? The Mythosaur is it goes over the Darksaber. So you could hold the Darksaber, but if you witness the Mythosaur, a legendary creature of Mandalore, well, to the armorer, that's enough to where you're going to be the leader. You're gonna reunite the clans of Mandalore, and we're gonna retake Mandalore. And as far as I gather from that scene, she's gonna be Mandalore, right? And then I'm assuming at that point she's going to convince Bo to ask Din Djarin to face each other in single combat, where one has to be a clear victor. So would that make Bo-Katan the enemy? Would you side with Bo-Katan? And do you think Grogu's going to allow Bo to kill Din? Don't think so. So is that how Grogu becomes this foundling savior? Is when Bo-Katan, when Bo-Katan and Din Djarin are fighting and facing each other, and because let's be real, Din's a cool character. He's not a great fighter. A majority of the fights that he's in, he's losing. If he didn't have his Beskar armor, he'd be dead by now. Let's just call it what it is. Bo-Katan is trained from childhood the Spartan way, and she is an excellent warrior. She would defeat Din in a matter of minutes. Okay? So when she claims this Darksaber, do you think Grogu's going to let that fly? I don't think so. I don't think he's going to let it fly at all. And then, of course, Bo isn't killing Grogu if he uses the Force properly. And then who knows what happens. I am going off on some theories here, so just bear with me, guys. And like I said, this is the first episode, so please comment below if you don't like these tangents or how you want. I need to figure out the flow of how the podcast is going to go. So one thing I noticed that I put on my notes here, Grogu is the foundling that all the Mandalorian actions revolve around. Anything that involves Grogu, he's their center of the universe right now. He might not be a traditional Mandalorian because he's not a human race, but he has quickly became the most important asset that the Mandalorians have. And then I want you to, if you go back and rewatch this season, the armorer, everyone's like, Bo-Katan's the mom. Bo-Katan's mom. Bo-Katan's mom. Well, you want to know who Grandma is? Who's usually more protective of their children, right? Mom will let the kid play up and down the stairs. Grandma won't let you go near the stairs, right? Because she's Grandma. The armorer is so protective of Grogu. She's given him Beskar armor twice now. She looks at Grogu wherever he goes, right? Where's Grogu? Where's Grogu? Where's Grogu? So is the armorer being super grandma, or is she keeping an eye on him because she could be an evil character? I'm so scared, man. I'm so scared. I want the armorer to be good. I want that character to be so good. It kills me for her to have a good story arc, a heroic story arc. And Moff Gideon still wants Grogu. That's all he cares about, right? I don't think he really cares about the Mandalorians too much anymore. He's attacking the Mandalorian sector because he knows Din Djarin is the protector of Grogu. So he's going to make a big deal about it. He will burn planets to the ground to make sure he gets Grogu back. The Beskar alloy. I hope that the New Republic doesn't think that just because they found Beskar at the scene of the crime that immediately plants Mandalorians as the criminals. Well, Moff Gideon attacked Mandalore and he confiscated all the Beskar that he could. So the Imperial Remnant, at least Moff Gideon's faction, is probably the biggest Beskar holder, percentage-wise, right? They probably have they have more Beskar than the Mandalorians. They've talked about this. So the Empire took it from their planet. The Mandalorians rarely have any Beskar anymore. Din's one of the only ones with Beskar armor. Everybody else just has normal armor. He's just walking around like a tank. So I hope the New Republic doesn't see that as a big deal. And yeah, the New Republic's going to seek answers from the Mandalorians. Now, how does the New Republic side with the Mandalorians? This is where Zeb comes into play. So Bo-Katan is going to go off on her odyssey to find all these clans. Now, one of the clans is going to be Clan Ren, and then that's going to bring Sabine, hopefully, into the Mandalorian. And then her ties with Zeb is going to get the Adelphi Squadron to join up with the Mandalorians. So now we have a huge Mandalorian faction that Bo-Katan and the Armor and Din has created. And then we have the Adelphi Squadron with Zeb. And then, of course, if it doesn't end there, well, how are we going to still defeat this Imperial Remnant with Moff Gideon and possibly Thrawn? Well, now you're bringing in the heavy hitters, right? We're going to bring in Hera Syndulla, and we're going to bring in Ahsoka. And then I'm pretty sure when they bring in Ahsoka, we might see Ezra Bridger. And then that's going to bridge us to the Ahsoka show. And people's like, well, why would they bring in Ahsoka again? Why would they bring in Ezra? Because Disney loves their verses, right? You have the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This is the Disney Plus Cinematic Star Wars universe. So every show that they're building, besides The Acolyte, is building off of each other. Even the Bad Batch. And who knows, The Acolyte might build on this too, even though it's set in the High Republic. But the Bad Batch is the cloning. We see clones in season 1 of The Mandalorian when he was with Cara Dune, and he sees the cloning vats. Grogu is trying to be cloned. Dr. Pershing, all of this. Andor, you see Andor. At the end of Andor, he was helping build a Death Star. And then in the Bad Batch, you have they're sitting on the summit, and boom, they mention the Death Star. It's all intertwined. It's all cohesive, right? So yeah, they're going to be bringing in heavy hitters for the Mandalorian. Just how you'll see Din Djarin in the Ahsoka series. It's just going to happen. Boba Fett's going to be in all these stuff, all this stuff. You think Boba is very prideful of his Mandalorian heritage. If he was contacted, hey, Boba, we need a little bit of garrison to come and support us for our retaking of Mandalore. I bet you Boba will send over Black Chrysanthemum and his little gang of whatever he has over there, and they're going to help. Because all roads lead to Mandalore. A showdown versus the Mandalorians in the Empire. And that's the last thing I need to talk about the Mandalorian. So, overall the season's been good, I think. It's been the most critiqued season, but I'm loving it. It's a good time. I'm having a lot of fun watching it. The Mandalorians are growing. I love the Mandalorians because of Knights of the Republic. I'm a huge Knights of the Republic fan. Any Mandalorian stuff I can get, it's going to be awesome. If Bo-Katan wins, I already got a name picked out for her. Bo-Katan the Uniter is what she's going to be called. She's going to be Mandalore the Uniter. So if she wins, if Din Djarin wins, I need to figure out a name for him. And I also need to figure out a name for Grogu. So it's been a good time. Now let's go to the Bad Batch, because the Bad Batch had a finale and we're already at the 20-minute mark or so of this podcast. I want to keep it between 20 to 30 minutes. So we're going to knock this out in 10 minutes, guys. The Bad Batch in this finale failed so bad, which is great because it shows you that they're Clone Force 99. They're the Bad Batch. They're super clones, but they're still human. They still make mistakes. They still can't overcome unsurmountable odds. You know, and by the way, if you love Star Wars and you want to be a Star Wars content creator, you have to. It's a need, a have to. You have to read and understand Joseph Campbell's The Power of Myth, right? It's about heroes, it's about mythology, and how George Lucas viewed Star Wars, and how you take these heroic characters and you put them against all odds and they always come out on top, right? But sometimes a hero doesn't always do that, right? And there are images and imagery in all these scenes that make the other heroes rise to the occasion, right? So the summit was a complete failure, and this is one of the coolest things. They didn't anticipate the unknown, because you can't. It's the unknown, right? So a little bit of background for me too. I was in the military, and one of the things is you can make a game plan, but you can never predict the unknown. That's where your skills come in, right? That's where you as a human being have to figure it out. So they get there and everything's going wrong. It's like the security systems aren't working right. There's a blackout in this part. This electrical system isn't working. Tech is like, this isn't me. I don't know what's going on. Like, why is this happening? Like, the Imperials are supposed to have this like tuned in. So even the Empire, they start running diagnostics. Well, eventually they figure out, well, they're not alone. They happen to be attacking at the same time as Saw Gerrera's faction, right? And I'm sorry, I forgot the name of Saw Gerrera's squad, which is embarrassing because it's highly popular. So you Saw Gerrera fans out there, like, comment, and unsubscribe. Actually, don't do that. I need subs. But the coolest, this is so cool to me, and it's sad at the same time. The Bad Batch, because of their interference with Saw Gerrera, Saul would have killed. Let me tell you this, and I want you to understand this. Saul would have killed Tarkin. He would have killed Krennic. He would have killed, and I forget his name too, the Doctor at Mount Tannis. He would have killed him. He would have killed every key player. Now, the Empire is a Hydra. You cut off one head, 5-10 more heads pop up, right? But those are heavy hitters right there. You're hitting on where it counts. It would take them years to recover from Tarkin, years to recover from Krennic, right? The Death Star would be delayed by years, if ever completed. Tarkin and Krennic spearheaded the Death Star. Saw Gerrera gets killed by the Death Star because the Bad Batch interfered in Saw Gerrera's mission. Not only did the Bad Batch, the butterfly effect, get Saw Gerrera killed, he killed Jyn Erso. They killed Jyn Erso. They killed Andor. We have the show intertwined. They have Alderaan killed, destroyed, and then so much more, right? The whole basis of the rebellion is built around destroying these Death Stars. And the only reason why the Death Star 2 exists is because they already knew how to build it. They just expanded it into a bigger ball, right? So that blew my mind, that the Bad Batch directly interfered with the Death Star. And then you can take it further. Because of their failures on the summit, they got Omega. Well, rest in peace. They got Tech was killed. Tech made the ultimate sacrifice, which is one of my favorite ways for a hero to go out. And we're going to talk about that just in 1 second. But Tech got killed, and they lost Omega, which sets up the sequel trilogy. So I'm sorry, guys. I'm being real with you. The Bad Batch is the reason that the original trilogy happens and the sequel trilogy. One move. Everybody doesn't like Saw Gerrera because he's a rogue rebellion faction, a rogue rebel cell. Saul was always right. In war, Saul is right. You have to accept that, right? You have to accept that the way Saul did his things is he's right. That's how you can't take sides in war. You can't be ethical in war, unfortunately. You have to make those difficult decisions. Saul Guerrero was willing to make those decisions, and he would have destroyed the engine, the main honchos for the Death Star. And because Bad Batch got Omega kidnapped, that is going to help Mount Tannis complete their cloning project, which will get transferred to Exegol, which brings the Emperor back, and of course, we're all assuming is how Snoke is created. So that's a big episode. You think the Bad Batch isn't that important? It's kind of important. It's actually probably, that finale is probably one of the most important scenes in the Skywalker saga of stories. So dwell on that one, guys. So Tech's death. So 99, right? So that was important, right? If you don't get that Easter egg, I'm not gonna tell you. You do some research. Research what 99 really means, and then get back to me. Comment below. That'd be a good one to comment below. Is Omega or Nala Se more important? From what I've gathered, Omega and that scientist are sisters. He doesn't need Omega. You could just research on her. So he only wants Nala Se. Nala Se's brain is the most important thing here. Nala Se doesn't want to help him, so he brings in Omega as like a dog. Like, hey, here's your dog. If you don't do these tests, I'll just kill your dog. Well, that's what he's saying. So if now Nala Se has a reason to do these tests, she had nothing to live for. Now that Omega's captured, if she doesn't help the Empire in these experiments, they'll kill Omega. So she's a hostage now. And so Nala Se is the most important character that we have. And if you know anything about Legends, if you don't want to hear this, go ahead and skip about 30 seconds ahead. In 1, 2, 3. In Legends, the Nala Se counterpart basically says, you know what? I'll just commit suicide. And she does. So the cloning project's kind of halted in its tracks because she just takes her own life. So I don't know if we're going to go that route. I don't know if we'll go that dark on a Disney Channel show, but you know, we already lost Tech. So, and then people keep complaining. Well, or they're not complaining. I hope Tech is alive. I hope Tech is alive. If he is, I'll be very surprised. I don't think the Bad Batch has a happy ending. The Bad Batch is going to have a Rogue One style ending, guys. Why would they live? Let's be real. Why would they live? They are clones that are going to do an assault on Mount Tannis. Everything that we know says that Mount Tannis is successful. Okay? The cloning experiments are successful. Palpatine came back. That means they were successful. That means Nala Se completed her duties. That means, or they figured it out, right? I think in season 3, we systematically see the end of the Bad Batch. Now, there will probably be 1 or 2 survivors. I think Omega is going to be one of the survivors. And we're going to have a Rogue One ending where in the finales, we're going to see each one of them sacrifice themselves for Omega to get out. And then Omega is going to go live on Pabu. That's what I think is going to happen. You probably hate me for it, but I'm preparing myself mentally for this disaster of how I'm going to feel. What is the impossible that Mount Tannis wishes to achieve? I think it's pretty clear. To establish a clone, and then Palpatine wants to transfer his life essence, his soul, into the clone and take over the clone. So he has everything already, except he's in a younger body. So he wants his 60, 70, 80-year-old brain to be bloop, right into his 20-year-old Palpatine self so he can keep living his life. So, of course, he achieves immortality, exactly what Darth Plagueis had, and what he told and lied to Anakin Skywalker about that it could be achieved. that is only one has achieved, but together. You know, that line. Will the Bad Batch end in a movie or season 3? I don't know if there's enough story to be told in 16 episodes. I think it might be a mini show, like 8 episodes, like how Mandalorian and stuff does. But I would go to the movies. That'd be a good way to make money for Disney, right? I'd be going to the movies for it. But I really do think that we're going to see an attack on Mount Tannis that involves Commander Cody, Captain Rex, the Bad Batch, any clone refugees, and I think Fulcrum. I think they're going to bring in Ahsoka, because I would say they already have some experiments going on for Force users. I would be very surprised if there wasn't a Dark Jedi. Legends, folks, you know who I'm talking about. And I have a short based upon that. That was posted recently. It's just called The Guardian. So Mount Tannis has a Force user Guardian that walks around. He's a Dark Jedi under Palpatine. Kind of like a Sith Inquisitor. But he's just a Dark Jedi, does his own thing. So they're going to need a Jedi to help them infiltrate Mount Tannis. And I think it's going to be Fulcrum, a.k.a. Ahsoka. I think that'd be really cool. Or if you want to bring in a new character, let's go. Let's go. Bring in a new character. Bring in Kelleran Beck. How about that? Let's get some Kelleran. Bring him in, right? And that's all I got to cover today. We're going to do these weekly. We might do 2 a week whenever I get some free time. Guys, and the upload schedule is going to be not too predictable, okay? We're at the 32-minute mark, but I just want to tell you, if you made it this far, thank you so much. The Force is powerful with you. But if my days off is Monday, Tuesday, then the following week it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, etc. So whenever I have the days off, which today I'm on Wednesday, Thursday, so I'm on the Thursday. We're going to upload this on Thursday. That's how it's going to be. I'm going to try to be as consistent as I can for you guys. I know YouTube's all about consistency. That's what I want to be for you. Next week is Celebration. I'm going to be doing like 10 to 15 minute breakdowns of each thing that pops up. So we're at episode 1. By the end of next week, we could be at episode 6. I don't know yet, but we'll figure it out. If you want me to add anything, we are working on an intro for the lower levels. Right now, it's just going to be ghetto. Sorry. But we'll go with it. I'm going to upload this on YouTube. I'm going to upload this on Facebook. And I am recording my audio. And I'm going to try to get it on some podcast stuff like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. But I don't know how to do Apple yet because I'm in Team Android. Team Android takeover AIs. But other than that, guys, appreciate you watching episode 1. Share it. Tell your friends about it. May the Force be with you. Always.